Welcome to Camp Chaos, where we celebrate the wild ride of modern womanhood.
Join us as we dish on motherhood, life's ups and downs, and all things pop culture that we know you want to talk about.
With special guests and expert insights, we're here to empower you through the chaos of everyday life.
Consider this your ultimate escape from the hustle and bustle. And as always, parental guidance suggested.
Camp is now in session.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Pillow Talk episode. Today, we are talking about the transition from 1 to 2 kids.
1 to like thinking your life is simple to like 2 of like, I'm going to go screw it up.
To everything explodes.
Yes. Okay, so let's start from like when you thought this is a good idea to ruin my life again and shake everything up and welcome number 2.
Well, I actually tell a lot of my friends, don't get distracted by the sweet spot of 6 months, because 6 months I feel like is when the baby's starting to sleep. You're kind of getting into a rhythm of, oh, I can do this, and they're cute, they're starting to recognize you out. And you're like, it wasn't that bad. The past 6 months wasn't that bad. I could do this again. People make that mistake all the time.
And then they have an 18-month age gap.
And then when your kid hits 1, it's not a good thing. Okay. So do not get distracted by the 6-month thing. I personally I come from a big family. So I have always wanted to have my kids like 2 to 3 years apart. So I think realistically, when you think about a timeline like that, you have to start trying around the 1 year mark, which is scary because still at 1 year, you're not ready. And someone DM'd me when Miller turned 10 months and said, oh my gosh, she's so cute, but get ready, 10 to 15 months is the hardest time of the babies.
Like walking.
And I swear to God, you guys, it is the hardest time. Like Palmer just turned 13 months and I feel like we are getting towards the back end, but wow, from 10 months through, just because they can't walk, they have so much frustration, all those things. I feel like, so we got pregnant with Palmer when Miller was 14 months, or that's when I found out. So it's still very close together.
Yeah.
I think probably the best, most realistic time, if you really want to get like have a somewhat of a handle on your life, is wait until your first is 2.
Yeah. But it's so funny. So my sister's 3 years, a little over 3 years older than me. So when I had Zane, I'm like, oh, we're going to wait. And then I feel like it was like social pressure of like, oh no, we're doing a 2-year gap. We're doing a 2-year gap. The social pressure was really wild.
Social pressure was really bad.
Yeah. And then like some people did it at like with an 18-month gap. And like that was crazy to me. I'm like, is everything okay? Are you going to be all right? Obviously not. But then after Zane hit a year, I'm like, okay, let's go on a great trip and then come back and do an IVF round. I do feel like it was hard, at least being IVF, because you are doing shots, you're taking hormones, you are on bed rest if your doctor is like that strict like mine was. And doing that when you have a 1-year-old was very, very intense. It wasn't like I was just getting pregnant. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm pregnant. Like there was this whole protocol that was going into said pregnancy. And that sucked of having a 1-year-old. But I don't know at what age that would have ever gotten better, because 2's harder, 3's harder. Like each age is hard because there's different variables of what hard means. But I will say having a 22-month age gap in the beginning was hard, but now I'm happy about it. Now
I know. I was going to say it's so fun now. Like they're playing together, and it really. I was just talking to my mom about this the other day. Of me and my brother, 18 months. My brother and my sister are 2 years apart, and now we think nothing of it. But I'm like, Mom, how did you survive?
You do it? How did you survive?
How did you do it? Because it's so hard in the beginning, but it's so fun. I just feel like Miller, when he turned 2, really was more of a helper. And
you got very lucky. Okay, so let's walk back of how you prepared Miller then. Because, well, I will say Zane was the first person I told I was pregnant. Oh. I have a video of it, which was so cute. Instead of like telling my husband, I wanted to tell Zane. And only he knew then what that meant. He's like smiling in it. I'm like, oh, little did you know I just screwed up your life. But you and I had very different experiences going from 1 to 2. Mm-hmm. So I want to walk through of how you told Miller or prepared him.
Well, I don't think that we prepared him all that well, other than baby, like we kept pointing to my belly and saying baby sister, and we included her in prayers every night. Like we're so thankful God gave us baby sister. We can't wait to meet baby sister. And I think we didn't really do anything other than that. And I did see on Instagram that there's a ton of ways that you can prep the baby for it, but I just felt like Miller didn't really know what was going on. And I was not going to waste my energy and time, the very little energy that I had to like try to convince he wasn't even 2, my like 18, 19, 20-month-old that
this is a
his
good
sister
idea.
was arriving and that he should be thankful.
And you have a say in the matter, which maybe that's where I went wrong. I feel like Zane has been very communicative his entire life, like whether it was like from birth. So he was talking so early. And that's why I feel like I made him such a big part of it, because he was so verbal.
So what did you do?
Well, whatever I did, it didn't work well, or whatever anyone does, it's not going to make a difference, at least in my child's eyes. But one thing I did, I knew when he was turning 2, I wanted him to go to like school 2 days a week of just starting a very small, like little homeschool thing that we have here in Newport Beach. It wasn't like a big school. So I started that early so that he didn't think that the sister was the reason why he's going there. So I thought that was like his way of like, okay, I hate saying a big boy because you were like 20 months old, but like you're a bigger boy now. You have bigger, like fun things to do. I got him a baby. I gave him like that little Corel doll baby with the milk, the diaper changes. He put the baby in the toilet.
Perfect.
Closed the toilet on the head of the baby.
Lovely.
So I felt like I was Googling constantly of like, how do I lessen the blow about what's going to happen to him?
Yeah.
My pregnancy was fine, but I just feel like he always knew. Like, I feel like I would point to my stomach and say baby and say, no baby, mommy, there's no baby. And like, that was like, so I'm like, oh, okay. Like he was like leading me up to the reality of what I was going to face.
But that is very aligned with who Zane is as a person. Like it's not that shocking. And I think that's why I think the preparation part, there's not really much you can do until the baby gets here. And when the baby gets here, I do believe that there are things that you can do to help make the older sibling not feel a certain way.
Okay, wait, but also I think my problem was you and Drew have left Miller before. My first time ever leaving Zane, ever leaving him, like from longer than a hair appointment, which we know those are long appointments, but was when I went to go have Zoe. So he was super pissed off.
Well, how many times do I tell you that you need to go on a staycation?
I tell my husband that, and he says, you will not be going anywhere. You could sit your ass down and be a mother. But I agree. And like at the time, it did not feel right for me. And I do think that would be a better way to prepare him of like, mommy's going to be going and mommy's going to be coming back. And he would constantly say to my mom, who was with him when I was having Zoe, he's like, where's my mom? Oh, where's my mom? This is nice, Yaya. Where's my mom? So when he did come to the hospital and then there I was, said mommy with new baby, he came in and the first thing he did was slap me across the face.
Yeah, let's talk about the hospital experience, because I think that was really hard for both of us. Yeah. And it's maybe not talked about that much. But yeah, let's talk with yours first. So Zane, so you had Zoe. Did you bring Zane in that day?
Okay, well, no, because
of all your issues.
I had crazy issues. And that was also a big thing. Like my entire pregnancy with Zoe, I never felt, and this sounds so awful, I never felt as connected with her as I did with Zane in utero.
But I think that's based on circumstance. Yeah. Like the first, we're worrying about nothing but in our stomach. Like in the second, you're like, how many weeks am I? What shape is this? Like you're consumed with the toddler.
One that's here. And like you have this beautiful baby. I will say when I was in the operating room after my delivery and I hemorrhaged and everything, I remember just sitting there thinking, oh my God, like forget about me. Like Zane needs me to get through this. Like Zane needs me to get through this. So there was so much more emotional trauma. I feel like that happened during mine that he did not come until, so it was actually the day I was leaving because I had to be there 2 nights after what happened. I didn't want him to come and then leave without me. I wanted him to come and then we are all leaving together. Could you imagine?
Smart.
You know, Zane, like, could you imagine, oh, you're coming and like you are leaving Hoag Hospital? He would be clawing at those walls.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would not have had that. So yeah, he walked in and I thought, I had a photographer there to document all the most beautiful moments. And he walked up to me. He like had that look on his face of like, I know what you did. I know where you've been. And he came up to the hospital bed and he smacked me. Mm-hmm. And then he did it again. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I sat there crying. Like, mm-hmm. And there's a picture of him with his hand on his head and like looking out the window and I'm like crying hysterically. And it's like, at the time I was like, oh my God, this is such an awful picture. It's now one of my favorite, but it was truly like, what the hell is this moment? Mm-hmm. I had the wrapped gift from him of look what baby sister brought you. Didn't work. He was like, cool, this is fine. Whoever that is. He didn't want to look at her, didn't want to get near her. It was like, I don't care. He was not even 2. He was 22 months, but he knew exactly what the hell had just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that there was somebody else in the picture. And my girlfriend said to me, imagine your husband bringing home another woman and saying, I still love you, Kyndra, but this is so-and-so. And she's also going to live with us. And she's younger and she's cute and she's all of these things. And I love her, but I love you and I love her too.
That's a horrible
I did say to my girlfriend, I'm like, when does she start? Is she going to wash dishes? Is she going to do the laundry? Like, when do I get to welcome this second wife then? No, but I do think it really I know it shocked him. And then I thought, okay, this is going to be a few weeks. This is going to be, a few weeks of hard. I'm going to make sure that I can recover quickly and like have all the special moments with him. He also wasn't sleeping, so I'm going to have night support so I could be there with Zane. So I wanted to lessen every blow that he was potentially going to have, so much so that it did not work. And he hated her up until recently. And now they're 3-1.
Is anyone else's skin freaking out like mine with all of the weather changes? One day it's hot, then it's cold, it's humid, then it's dry. Well, the one thing that has been saving my skin is OneSkin. And I have been on OneSkin products for 4 months now. And you guys, I am obsessed. Here's why.
If you are over the age of 25, you've got to get serious about your skincare routine. OneSkin gets to the root cause of aging skin by attacking those zombie cells. They do this with their OS1 peptide, and we all know that peptides are all the rage these days. This helps promote the production of collagen, hyaluronic acid. Those all lead to healthier, more youthful looking skin. I personally have never used another product that my skin absorbs so well.
You know how we love to support women-owned businesses. Well, OneSkin is founded by an all-women team of scientists. OneSkin is the first and only skin longevity company to target cells at their deepest level with their proprietary OS1 peptide. You guys, OneSkin has been doing wonders for my skin, and I know it will do amazing things for yours.
OneSkin is the world's first skincare longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspect of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code CAMPCHAOS at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code CAMPCHAOS. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support your show and tell them we sent you.
I know. I feel like the hospital moment was really, really hard. So I had Palmer at 2:42 in the afternoon and I had Miller come that night because I felt like because my water broke, like it was so sudden. I was 2.5 weeks early.
You were
we
early.
were
You
supposed to
didn't
go
even
to
get to say goodbye to him.
Disneyland. Like I didn't get to say goodbye to him. I left in the middle of the night. I was so worked up and I had been FaceTiming him of like, oh my God, mommy's bringing baby sister. Like you have been at Disneyland. And he was telling me all the characters that he's seen. And I just told my parents asked like, do you think it's too much? Should we bring him? And I said, I have to see him. Like I have to see
Miller.
have
to see the man I just cheated on.
Yes. Yes.
I have to face him.
So he came and I felt like he was a little bit in a daze. I don't think he liked seeing me in the hospital setting. And I think he was a little confused by the whole thing. I mean, he could really care less about Palmer. I think he like looked at her and was like, touched her and, moved on. But I had him come back the next day because I had my photographer there and he hated me that day. I think it was a mixture of like, he loves being with my parents. Why are my parents bringing him to the ugly hospital place that he didn't like the day before where my mom is laying in a hospital bed, which like I'm never laying in bed at home, like when he sees me. Why is there a photographer here that I have to smile and pretend for? He never was like mean with Palmer, but I just like in that moment, I remember feeling like he absolutely hated me. And then my parents like had to go somewhere. So they just whisked him away. Like I couldn't even say goodbye because I was trying to get all the photos that I wanted to with Palmer. Then it's like, it's so chaotic in there. And then after he left, the nurse came in and I said, you need to discharge me right now. Like I need to go
follow him.
I need to go. So McCall came at 11 a.m. and I told her, I'm like, I was told I can leave 24 hours. Like I have my baby at 2:40. You need to let me go by 2:40.
Yeah.
So she was like, okay, we'll finish with her stuff. She came in, was doing discharge papers. I was bawling my eyes out while she's asking me like postpartum depression questions. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I need to get home to my son. Got home. I remember like,
I think this is something too that the firstborn is a boy.
Maybe.
I feel like it.
I feel like it could be too. Because I remember literally when we got home, me being like, put Palmer in the doctor out. She's fine. I need to go be outside with Miller.
Yeah.
Like all I cared about was him,
yeah.
which is so
fucked up.
It really is.
It really is kinda
and
sad.
it's so different than like the first round because you're like, oh my God. Like Miller was never in the dog toy. He was in my arms, you know? And so I was literally like, if she needs to be fed, call me. But she's good. We need to be outside with Miller. We tried to keep the same bedtime routine. That was like the craziest change for us was we always had, you know, like a 30-minute bedtime routine. It was an hour and a half for 7 days, 7 days straight after because he was screaming.
He was delaying it.
He would not let us put him down. I was the only one that could put Miller to sleep.
And then it was Drew.
Then it was Drew. Then it was, I don't want Drew. Then Drew would be like, can you come help me? Then it literally took us an hour and a half for 7 nights. I came out crying every time. And I told my mom, I said, I cannot do this. Like, I cannot have my son screaming, crying for an hour and a half. Then I have to go leave him to nurse. Then I have to go back. Then I'm up all night. Like, I couldn't do it. It literally stopped after the 7th night.
Okay. So I know you and I disagree about this, but I thought it was harder going from 1 to 2 than 0 to 1.
Yeah, I thought 0 to 1 was harder.
I think 1 to 2 was like that rocked my world. I think because of like exactly how you're describing, I'm okay being needed and I'm okay being wanted. I am not okay being needed in 2 places. And then, oh yeah, by the way, you have a husband. But like when I had Zane, I was like, oh, you need me 24/7? That's perfect. I was born for this shit. Like need me, use me up all over the place. But when it was Zoe, I'm like, well, now what am I like? That for me was I have 2 arms. I'm one person. Like I could only be with one of them at night. Like that for me really, really sucked.
I think that is a really hard part of going from 1 to 2. And I think that's a mental and emotional load that people almost have to get a handle on before the baby gets here. I think that's what helped me. The reason why I say 0 to 1 was so much harder for me is because it shocked the hell out of me. Like the whole experience. Yeah. The no sleep, the breastfeeding,
this morning shocked me, Taylor. It all shocks me.
So shocking.
Yeah.
And like how my life changed.
Yeah.
Shocked me. Whereas I think because I was in such
You're
shock
more
and
seasoned as a mother. Yeah.
Well, I remember just like leading up to having Palmer, I said, okay, I'm going to be on no sleep. Okay. I know I'm going to be like, it's not going to go according to plan. Okay. Like I just mentally was able to come to a better place and prepare myself. I think also you realize the newborns, yes, they need you, of course, but like they don't need you emotionally. And that's what I saw on Instagram. I feel
like the first time mom, like when you have that one, you're like, oh, my newborn, oh, this, oh, that.
I was like, he's crying, he's sad. It's like, no, he's hungry and he pooped.
Yeah, like everything is okay. And quite frankly, like anybody can fulfill most of those needs. Like give the baby a bottle, change the diaper, put them down. Like we're good. You realize when you have one that's a little bit older of like the emotional need and that emotional draw. Zane, after like a month, I'm like, okay, we're going to be getting better, right? Like something's going to be getting better. And then it was his 2-year appointment and I went to Dr. Kozak, our pediatrician. And I remember like crying of like, he hates her. He hates her. He wants nothing to do. And she goes, well, she gave me great advice. She just said, don't force anything. Stop saying you have to do this. You have to love her, a baby sister. Like just let it be. And you need to relax about it. And like, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to relax about it. I'm going to leave these 2. And as soon as I'd leave them, he would try, like, this is very awful. Like, he would scratch her face. He would hit her. He hated her.
Yeah.
And I don't like that term, but like, it was really hard for me, especially because all of my other friends were like, oh, kissing the baby. Like the older ones were like smothering the baby with love. I remember we went to a birthday party. Was it Miller's birthday party? And one of our other friends' kids coming up and smothering Zoe. I'm like, wait, my kid doesn't even want to give her a kiss. Like, what is this strange kid wanting to give this baby a kiss? Like, that killed me. Of everybody's having all these sweet moments and like this sibling like love, and mine was literally like, leave her in the house. We are going to the park. Leave her here. We are going there. Like, do not bring her around me. If you leave me with her, I will hurt her. And he did.
I remember I texted you like, oh, how are you doing? And it was like 8 days or not even 8 days postpartum. And you're like, well, Zane just poured water on Zoe as I was trying to breastfeed her. Yeah. And he hates her.
He hates her. And 8 days, fine. It went on 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. Like up until recently, and Zoe is 14 months, they are finally now playing. And now he's more cautious of her. And like if she screams, he'll be like, I didn't do it. I'm like, oh yeah. because I got to a place where I'm like, do I take you to therapy? Like I cannot have any more mommy and son one-on-one time with you of making you feel like you're the only man in my life and you are so special and important to me. Like I can't keep doing this. Like she is going to be coming with us to dinner. She is going to be in the stroller. I do have to put her to bed. Like sometimes he still has his moment where in the morning, if he wakes up and she wakes up right after, he's like, leave her in her bed for a minute. I'm like, you are not the deciding
He's
factor.
like, I know you couldn't sleep train me, but we're going to make sure that Zoe is well.
He will say Zoe needs to stay in her crib for a little longer because he wants me. We have a very codependent
but I
relationship.
I think it's like the personality in the person, because my mom still talks about it to this day that I was awful to Brendan.
That makes me feel better.
She says like I would be on the couch like jumping up and down in hopes that like he would roll off the couch, like, and I would pinch him. I think it's just you get what you get. Like I don't think there's anything people can do or you or I could have done.
Do I need to take him for a brain scan? Like why is he like trying to hurt her?
No, and like I got
knowing that you were the same makes me feel better.
The same, and look at I'm somewhat normal now.
Somewhat.
But like Miller, I got so lucky. Like
you got so lucky.
Yeah. I do remember like one tip that I saw on Instagram that I think is really helpful is they say to try not to blame the baby for everything.
Yes.
So like if you're
I can't do this because I have to be with the baby.
Because I have to be with the baby.
I tried it all, Taylor. It didn't help.
Well, in my head, like I feel like it helped me emotionally serve him better.
Yeah.
Like it changed my mindset of, okay, it's
even
like,
though that Palmer is exactly the reason why you can't, you're not going to tell Miller
but
that.
I'm going to say, okay, yeah, I'll be with you in 1 second. I'm just going to go put the baby down and then I'm going to come be with you. It just like, I feel like little things like that can help even you as the mom, like change your mindset. Yeah. I got so lucky with Miller. I mean, I kept telling him like, oh, we kissed baby sissy, all the things. So he like kissed her the day she got home. And I mean, even still like last night, he's like, I love you, Palmer. I love you so much, Palmer. And then he's like group hugs. He's like, Mom, come here. And he like chokes Palmer. He's like, I love you guys. Like he's just he's like my lover boy. And I just think it depends on the kid. And, you know, there's no preparation for like how to prep them for changing their life.
Yeah, I do think it's just as a mom, you need to be ready to accept anything.
Yeah, and I think you have to be ready as the mom, most importantly, when you're going from 1 to 2, is accepting the mental and emotional load that comes with it. It's way more of like, okay, now I'm caring for 2 needs. Okay, now I'm caring for someone who's upset because I did this because I brought in number 2. Okay, number 2 is upset, but number 1's also upset. Where do I go from this to this?
100%. And logistics of like, if like you're home by yourself for bath time, which I know that like you're a princess bath time girl, that you're never alone. But like the reality is moms are alone for bath time. And like, okay, how does that work? Leaving one in the bath? Oh wait, you're not allowed to leave one in the bath. Like everything, it just changes. And I think that preparing the month leading up to you bringing your baby home and delivering your second, you need to be considering, what is my life going to look like when I have a newborn?
Logistics are huge.
Logistics are huge. And simplify where you can of like, having your routines and having your systems in place of like, I'm going to make my life as easy as it possibly could be in a chaotic time.
Yeah. And I think you maybe let go with some of the hard boundaries and rules that you had with your first when your second comes along. Because yes, like my husband's always home for bath time, but during the day for nap time, like I dealt with that. So Palmer was on 2 naps, obviously a million naps before that. But like when I would go put her down, I didn't want to bring Miller into the nursery because he was, you know, playing with his cars. And so it's like, okay, you sit out here in the living room. Mommy's going to be right back. But me putting the baby down is changing her diaper, changing her clothes, giving her a bottle, putting her down.
There's
so
time.
I would, So for me, it's like, okay, we're going to turn on a show.
And the smaller the age gap, that's where that gets scarier.
Yes.
And riskier because like they're not even 2 and you're leaving them in an area where like
they're alone. And then you hear silence.
And you're like, make a noise. Are you out there?
And
Sign
then
of life.
I'm holding the bottle over Palmer and I'm like, Miller. And she's like, huh. I'm like, oh God, I just woke up this baby.
No, but it's
I'm trying
true.
to put you
it's
to
like,
sleep.
Now, like I can leave Zane and I know like he's cool. Like he could eat his snacks. He's like, he's okay to be somewhat independent. All the doors are locked. Like I have safety. The alarm is on. But there is this level of like, you are not even a 2-year-old and I'm leaving you as if you're like a little person, adult. And
Yes. Yeah. It's closing all the doors. So I think like logistics are really hard when you transition from 1 to 2, and the emotional load of being
your heart doubles, but it also split in 2,
and just like the capacity that you have for yourself and your husband at the end of the day is just down to like negative 10%.
Yeah.
Because you have,
we're on empty.
You have given it to these 2 children that need it. But I come from a family of 4. I know you come from a big family. Like, I think giving your kids a sibling is the best gift you could possibly give them.
It's the best gift. And I'm finally seeing that before. I'm like, oh, I just ruined your life. Now I'm like, okay, seeing them laugh and play, and he thinks she's so funny now. I'm like, it's so sweet. He does just keep saying, like, when is she going to say UPS? When is she going to make, like, I'm like, the things that you care about, like, now that she's got personality.
Once Zoe starts saying UPS, they'll be BFFs.
It's over. Yeah.
Obviously, bringing 2 kids, multiple kids, I think like anywhere beyond one.
Anything more than one
is hard, but it's just, you are filling your home with more love. And my favorite saying that I hear is like, you want to fill up your dining room table.
Totally.
And that's what you're doing.
Yes, that's what you're doing. Just keep having babies.
Just keep having babies. Thank you for listening to another episode of Camp Chaos. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Camp Chaos. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our show. Connect with us on social media at Camp Chaos Podcast. Until next time, campers.